Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7 p.m. Pacific time here on the Shadow Nose Network. And what does that mean? Well, the Pixels, Plastic, and Ink crew are here with you once again. Thanks for tuning in. Before we go any further, subscribe, like, comment. It only helps the channel grow. Gentlemen, we have a big episode. And I say that every episode, but this one's bigger. First off, Chet's with us, so that's always a blessing. You know, it's going to be a jam-packed episode. But we are talking about none other than the pop culture icon, the Man of Steel himself,
Chet Maddox.
Superman. No, it is Superman. And wow, what a legendary character. We're going to talk about a variety of things. Obviously, the new suit has been unveiled, the poster, lots of buzz surrounding James Gunn's take of Superman, but also like Superman in its history, the good, the bad, the ugly. There's so many different things. The guys don't like the potential Nick Cage movie that never was made. I thought he would have been great. But you know, Tim Burton doing Superman with Nick Cage. Hey, you know, we'll talk through a lot of that stuff, and then also we are saving room. Captain America, the New World trailer has just hit after 175 reshoots. It is finally ready to come to us. And what did we think? Good, bad, mixed reviews. Plus 35 minutes of the Deadpool Wolverine film was unveiled, and wow, it's off the charts. I haven't seen anything that's critical about that. And then we jump into the toy sector, a couple of different things. The big announcement is just in a few weeks, the Hasbro HasLab G.I. Joe. What is it going to be? Plus, Hasbro a fan stream. They're doing a Venom release. That thing will sell out in 5 seconds, all over the next couple of weeks. And then also Superman comics. Lots more. Thanks for tuning in. This is Pixels, Plastic, and Ink. Well, gentlemen, the big question is, are you all feeling super this evening?
Yes, I
am. Good enough to withstand a kryptonite bullet tonight, brother.
Let's not push our luck.
Yeah. Well, look, last week was Captain America. This week it's only fitting that it's Superman.
Yep.
Right. 2 American icons, back-to-back episodes. And then next week, look for the other American icon that, in summation, tells the story of the United States as it stands today. And we will do a feature on the Punisher. I'm just kidding, but that could be interesting. That could be interesting. So let's jump right into things. Our first topic. This is the icon, and make no mistake about it. I think with all of the icons, there have definitely been some incredible bright spots in movies, in cinematic history, in comic books, and there have been some duds. And we are going to talk about all those things. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Man of Steel.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
going to end up fighting every elected official in this country.
Sure you don't really mean that, Lois?
Well, amazing montage. Who's the best Superman of all time? Let's just get right into it. Who is the best Superman? Oh, wait. Whoa. Pump the brakes here. Well, Dr. Brantley, say it. Who is the best Superman?
Oh, no, he's over here. Chris Reeve. They really got it right. Even the old serial guys, the guys on TV, they were nowhere near. He really had like the essence of Superman. A lot of these guys, I think, get it wrong where they try and make him a little like dark and brooding and try and bring something to it. And Superman needs to be 100% all American, gung ho, and everything that you think. He's not hiding anything. He's just a good guy.
I can't believe you didn't say Dean Cain. I'm so
I'll take anybody in America is going to say Dean Cain.
Mr. Storm, who was the best Superman?
It is Christopher Reeve, but Henry Cavill made one hell of a second tier, because I think if Henry Cavill would have gotten more opportunity with Superman, because Justice League, you can't really count that. He's not even in most of the movie. And Superman and Batman, I think it showed Henry Cavill's range. But Christopher Reeve just nailed it. And I think that they never gave Henry Cavill the proper opportunity. I would have loved to see a Man of Steel too. Third, I can't remember his name is Tyler. He's on a brand new Superman show that was on CW. That's probably one of the sleeper Superman shows. If you haven't seen it, he really does a great job, and it moves into a whole family demographic kind of thing, and it works. And then last I will give Tim Daly of Superman the Animated Series. He just embodied Lois or Clark and Superman in such a great role. His voice, every time you heard it, you were like, yeah, they picked this right, So those are my four, but Christopher Reeve, there hasn't been anyone to dethrone him yet, and I don't see that coming.
Chet Maddox, your Superman take.
Oh, man. I mean, it's hard to ignore how good Nicolas Cage is as Superman. For me, I would get burned at the stake if I didn't say Christopher Reeves. But I liked the potential Henry Cavill had. And I think that Henry Cavill, for what they gave him the ability to do as Superman in Man of Steel and the other cameo basically that he had, I think he did it. I think he did it right. I think he was a great Clark Kent. I think he was a great Superman. The guy that you were talking about is in the Superman and Lois. It's Tyler Hoechlin, I think.
Yeah, he was also in. I think he was also in Teen Wolf as well.
Yeah,
he. That's a great show, man.
Yeah, from a TV perspective, I don't think there's been anyone better than him for TV. Yes. But for film, Christopher Reeves was it. But Henry Cavill is probably gonna take it for me.
Yeah.
What about you, Rad?
Yeah, I think I'm aligned. I mean, there's no question. I think there is an advantage of being really the first to do it. It's like the Michael Keaton phenomenon, in a sense where that was the first time you ever saw, at least, I don't go back to, the black and whites. Right. And so what I knew of Supes was Christopher Reeves, and he did it so well. And so it's hard if you do it well, for anybody to come in and do it. I think Henry Cavill there could have been potential to be considered the best. He was just involved in probably not the greatest of films, although Christopher Reeves had to battle that as well. But make no mistake about it. He is Superman. He will forever be Superman. And I think part of it is that he didn't do much else, right?
Yes.
I mean, he did some films, and then obviously the tragedy. But I think he typecast, but in a good sense, right? Because Henry Cavill is done. He will continue to do other things, and so he won't always just be Superman. And Michael Keaton won't always not just be Batman, but he is kind of Superman off screen, and that's how we see it. You know
what's crazy about that too is like you can watch all the original Superman movies and they're still entertaining. They're a little cheesy, but like if you're gonna watch that movie and get into like the suspension of disbelief and just get yourself into the movie, like those Superman movies were really good for the time, and even now, I think the writing is better than a lot of things that are coming out.
Yeah,
100%. I think the writing was more advanced than what the effect studios could have kept up with, but yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal movies. I love those movies. So,
but I sat in a theater and I remember that the "You Will Believe a Man Can Fly," and I remember like how the heck did they do that? And this is pre CGI era, and you really were like, first of all, Christopher Reeve was, a great embodiment because he was a tall gentleman. It wasn't like, sometimes some of these actors now that we have, obviously there's a little Hollywood magic. Some of the guys aren't over 6 feet, and you can tell. But Christopher Reeve was a big gentleman, and he looked every bit, and he towered over people when you saw him. And I think that's what really kind of did the casting in that first Richard Donner film is absolutely on deck. And like I said again, we got another "Don't You Do It" says, "Yeah, Christopher Reeve is my favorite." I think he's everybody's favorite. It's going to be hard to top him, but again, Henry Cavill, I think he's the Superman of like. I think that when you have like newer fans, I think they'll see that as their version of Christopher Reeve, but I think they'll be disappointed by just the lack of just material that he had, because even Christopher Reeve, he had 4 films, and that's not a lot of material because he had 4 films in different time eras, really. But he has a much bigger body of work. We've only got 1 major film with Henry Cavill as completely, and then he's sharing the other one with Ben Affleck. And while I think a lot of people polarize on the Superman and Batman, I love the contrast between the two. So, I just would have loved to see one last product with him in it.
That's an interesting thing you say about like being a tall guy. Like that's the thing that I've been impressed about in some of these like the MCU is like, thank God, like Hemsworth is actually a big dude to play Thor. It's not like some guy that's like 5'4", and they have to CGI it, or like if
Tom Cruise was Iron Man,
yes,
then
it would have been.
It's like his shoes would have been this platform shoes,
Yeah, and Chris Evans too as Cap, like no CGI, and he got in the weight room like that. That felt really good for sure.
True.
So we got the best one. I'm not going to say worst, but who's the most forgotten Superman?
And we're saying Superman or just whoever donned the uniform?
No. Because... Who's the here? I'm going to go first.
Okay,
Brandon Routh, like no one. He never existed. And anybody talk about him?
That's not true, because I thought he was great. It was just the movie and everything around him was terrible. But he was like the correct guy to continue Superman. I just think the movie was bad that they put him in.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not about being bad. It's about the most forgotten.
Yeah.
And I don't think
there were 3 different Superboys on television in the late 80s, early 90s.
That's why I said again, it's like, are we talking about Superman or who donned the costume?
No, that's Superman.
They were
okay. Those are
Superman.
So
you can't be Superman. It has to be Superman. Like his name is never meant. He's not Like, I don't see him pop up at conventions. I don't see his name ever being discussed. It's like that movie never happened. It's so strange. And maybe because now Henry Cavill and all the series of Superman plus the TV series and Smallville and all that stuff, but like it's a shame because to your point, he didn't do a bad job. It's just kind of like one and done. And then we really never saw him again.
It's not one and done because remember he did Crisis on Infinity Earth when it was on the CW, the shows, and I think he redeemed him. I think he redeemed his performance because he did Kingdom Come Superman on that, and he was kind of forgiven. I think it stands down to I think Dean Cain's the worst, and I think only because of the fact that
he's the worst, but he's the most forgotten. Do you remember Dean Cain as Superman?
Well, I like to forget him.
He could be the worst.
I like to forget him.
What was the series? It was
The Adventures of Lois and Clark. Yeah. And when you those are damn near almost unwatchable. And there's a time period. There's a time period, and I think there was the early '90s or something. Because I remember, I've rewatched The Flash with John Wesley Shipp, and that's actually entertaining. I tried to watch The Adventures, and I was like, they need to pull this off back because it was terrible, man.
He's also aged the worst. Dean Cain is.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think a lot of things have just not worked out for Mr. Cain. Have you seen Megan Fox and Supergirl?
You know what?
No, I have not actually. Has anybody seen that?
No, I haven't. You know what's crazy is I'm gonna have to go with Chris on this one. Ralph, I totally forgot was Superman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that was even a thing to be one. As soon as you said it, I was like, wait, what? Oh, that's right, because he was like the big talk until everyone saw Henry Cavill.
Yeah, well, he was redeemed on the CW shows as the Atom. He did a great job, and then he did get to redo Superman in the Crisis episode. So that was cool, and he looks really good for the part. I enjoyed him. It was just that Bryan Singer screwed up the movie.
I think that, to be quite honest with you, Bryan Singer probably will go down as probably one of the worst Superman directors because he had a prime opportunity. And I remember, we went into that theater and everybody was hyped. And if you would have seen it, they just had the expression, the reaction to people coming out the theater. People came out the theater what the heck did he do? It's just, I haven't seen a larger disappointment other than a little bit of people in the fan community. They have that nervous worry about James Gunn. And it's are we going to get another Bryan Singer? There's people are just wow, but that hurt. And I think Brandon Roth, unfortunately, took the blunt of that. And I think it's unjust. I don't think it was really the material they gave that man stunk.
Yeah. He as Superman is like Val Kilmer as Batman.
Yeah.
That's how I equate it. Which is Val Kilmer, I actually thought he did a really good job, but the movie itself, there's obviously some interesting things. I know Dr. Brantley is he's got some different thoughts on that, but I think Val Kilmer is the forgotten Batman, right? Because he was just one and done. Very similarly, whatever you think about the movie, it was definitely not the first two, and it definitely wasn't, Clooney did it was just in the middle almost. And it's if you do it in the middle and you don't carry it on, and it was okay, you did a decent job. It kind of seems to be when you ask Batman, people forget Val. And I thought Val Kilmer, I loved that. I loved him and Chris O'Donnell. I like the suits and stuff. It was really cool, that era of Batman. I don't want to sidetrack us, but that's how I equate it. Do you think people have a trouble connecting to Superman? As a hero?
I think I've always had an issue with Superman because it's not fair because he's one of the first ones ever. But it was everyone sat around the table and was all right, he's just going to be able to do everything. He can do whatever he wants. He can do everything. He's all powerful. And then they're like, lots of boring. This is how I picture it, is like they were all sitting around a table. They're like, yeah, no, he can fly. No, he's bulletproof. No, he can speed of sound. No, he could freeze water. He could do laser eyes are probably cool too. We could add that. And then someone's like, hey, this is a boring story. He should be allergic to a green rock. And then that's Superman's like weakness is green rock or lack of sunshine.
Patty Atkins, absolutely. Christopher Reeves. Mm-hmm.
So I've always struggled with trying to get into Superman because of that. It's just like, man, just calm down.
I think that I think that's the point of view how you're looking at it, and I'll tell you that's the general problem if you look at Superman as a linear character like that. But if you look at him from the eyes of like Schuster and Segal, where they're just from Kansas, and they're thinking about a guy that can do things in the early 40s that like it's unfathomable, we just barely are flying across the United States and everything. And they envision a person that comes from another planet, basically an immigrant, that rises himself and becomes protector of the planet. They looked at him in a very different point of view of how we see him. And I think because there are so many interpretations, we get blocked out of he's just a guy that's just here. Because remember, he's jumping over tall buildings. Well, back then, Empire State Building was the tallest building. He's like, faster than a locomotive. He's a very simplistic character. Yet we've complicated him down the years, and now he does things like he's going off to distant planets and all kind of situations. And I don't think that that's exactly the essence of him. He no longer seems like he's human. Yet the earlier books, he had a very humanistic quality to himself.
And I think the time that he was created, it was very difficult times around the world. And it was sort of, it's like, well, we've got all these different governments and bad things going on. But there's one person that's going to stand up for everything that, we believe in, and he can fix any problem. And that was like a comforting kind of a thing that is fallen by the wayside nowadays.
Yeah, and that's what I'm a bit concerned about. Whatever James Gunn's new take is going to be, is relatability to the newer generation of Superman, because they're going to see Deadpool and Wolverine and the comic jokes, the gag jokes, the sexual innuendos, the violence. You're going to see, Batman's a darker version. You see Joker blowing up buildings, and then you have this, American apple pie character, and maybe it's a different take, and we see a different version. I'm not saying I want to see some dark, crazy version of Superman, but I often wonder in today's day, is it the anti-hero that shines versus a Captain America type, right? So I think that's going to be interesting. And speaking of that, James Gunn's version, we don't have a lot of information, right? Like we talked about it in previous casts, but there's several characters that might be lined up. And is Superman going to be the most featured? Is it going to be very similar like Justice League, where there'll be a bunch of folks? And then we saw the new logo. What's your take on it? Because it still is very early. We haven't gotten a whole lot of snapshots, some leaked footage. But what's your belief of Gunn's vision of this character?
Versus track record, I'm a little worried. I think it works well for the Marvel Universe and like unknown characters like Guardians of the Galaxy. Because let's be honest, name 3 Guardians of the Galaxy artists that ever worked on that series. It's very little that we knew anything about. So it's easier to take those characters. It's Suicide Squad. I thought that tone I didn't enjoy as much as the first one. The first one's story, David Ackers' story could have been better, but I like the tone of it. And just he has a way of just being sometimes extremely buffoonish. And I'm kind of worried if that, and I look at the casting that he's done, and I at this moment, I think they're oversaturating it with way too many other co-stars in this movie. If you're setting up, you intentionally got rid of Henry Cavill, because that's what you did. You got rid of him. You know, he was all set to come back, and then you slid in and you said nope, and you destroyed every bit of the last regime's version of the DCU.
Yeah, I mean they did that right.
They murdered him.
Yeah, like
on
because
purpose.
he had that cameo in Black Adam, and then all of a sudden, just like, well, that was a pointless movie. That's why no one saw. I mean, there's a lot of reasons no one saw that, but like,
yeah, but it killed the momentum. But now all of a sudden, you're like, this guy. First of all, he's supposed to be the head of DC Comics and everything, all DC. And I don't see that trickling down as well because that branch is always a mess. So it's like, I'm just worried because this is James Gunn has some success and then he's had some absolute total failures. He did his own version of Superman and that failed at the box office. So when you give someone absolute power, do they make the best films? We're gonna find out.
Now, I do think that if I were him, this is the route I would take, is that you do Superman straight up as comic accurate, the big blue Boy Scout, all that kind of stuff. But then he can add all of his comedy and goofy stuff on the side characters, and I think that's why there's so many of them. Because he's going to have, he can do all the quirky stuff with Guy Gardner and, these secondary characters. And you do Superman straight ahead and you make him like the shining example. And by, you see all the people around him like, oh, yeah, this world is screwed if Superman is not here because he's keeping all this stuff together because they're all probably fighting and have their weird personality quirks.
Yeah. Do you think, we know Lex Luthor has been cast.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a smart idea to lead with Lex again?
I think you have to.
Obviously it's, Joker to Batman, but like, that, Nolan didn't lead with the most famous villain of all time in the first film. And do you think like that's a mistake with this one?
Nolan had the greatest mess to ever clean up. It was like that Batman franchise was destroyed. And Christopher Nolan had to come in and set a tone completely different than what we had seen because thanks to Joe Schumacher's regime, that destroyed that franchise. And so, he's coming in a little bit differently now. You've got, Henry Cavill's version, where a lot of people loved Henry Cavill. So there's a lot of great machine, but also you've got the fans really like, are we, we don't have Henry Cavill, so there might be a little bit of resentment for that. But the mess he has to clean is not as bad because people did like the last Superman. People loved the last Superman. So he's coming in where people are skeptical now. They're like, is he going to do a good job? He better do a good job because then the fandom, because if this movie bombs, everybody's going to point back like, see, you should have brought Cavill back.
The other problem is like Christopher Nolan went in and did what he did with Batman. James Gunn came in and said, well, everything else prior to me doing it shit, so all of you guys are gone. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to recast because I don't want to hurt people's feelings, and Henry Cavill's too, whatever. And it became this like, all right, dude, well, if you're going to go in and erase everything that the DC universe has done, your ass better make the best Superman movie of all time. Otherwise, you could just walk out the damn door and just stop messing things up, because I guarantee you the Superman movie is not going to be good enough to have kicked out Henry Cavill. It's not.
Well, I'll tell you, I think he has one film. I think he has one film to prove that his vision is right. And I would not want to be, because like Dr. Britton and I work in Hollywood, and I can tell you that I would not want to be James Gunn and the decisions that he made, because he went in there cutting and doing things. And I'm sure the studio exec was like, I don't know, maybe we should have Henry Cavill, who's readily liked and probably one of the nicest people in Hollywood. Like, maybe we should just bring. He was like, nope, this is my vision. So now, if this vision does not go, and I think Warner Discovery doesn't have the bucks to be playing around with games. I really believe that he is directing for his entire job right now, because I could see this movie bombs, and it bombs terribly, and they're like, he's out immediately, because with regimes and the way this happening on streaming and everything, you can't afford to make a mistake like this.
The other problem is that there's so much more riding on the fact that he came in and did that, because how do you go in? Okay, let's say it bombs and they get rid of him. How do you fix it? You
start over again.
DC's done that time and time again.
You have to find somebody to do Flashpoint the right way and fix it all. That's how you would have to fix that, I think.
Well, that's the interesting thing, though. Is he's taking over the DCU and he's starting with Superman, which typically you start with Batman. So I will give him credit that maybe he's trying to say that Superman is the anchor to this new universe, which, if done right, could be a way different take than I think everyone's Batman is at the core of the DC multiverse, so it could be done right.
I don't know. I think he took Superman because he had to. Because they already had Batman going, and the Batman was good. Batman,
I don't know. You could have. I don't think so. I think he could have said
3 different versions of Batman on the screen at the same time.
I mean,
that's why they're trying to actually decrease some of that.
But he just showed he doesn't care about any legacy.
Oh no, but see, he still reports to somebody. Just because he says he's the top doesn't mean that he's writing checks.
I would guess that he, if he was strongly passionate about ensuring Batman was going to kick off his vision, I think in some capacity would have happened. I think he's taking this route of Superman. And I'm not saying it's going to be good. I'm just saying it's interesting that that's how he's starting his legacy with running the DCU.
What would be the play then, starting with Superman?
I think you try to. Well, see, he's not doing it. I thought Snyder had a better blueprint because he built the Trinity. He basically tried to do Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and he tried to establish that as his 3 hierarchies. This one, he's basically just told us with the titling of The Brave and the Bold and everything, he's going to do something radically different when it comes to Batman. So, but I think Superman is, I believe that his, in Hollywood, you've got to have a little bit of arrogance. And I think his arrogance is I'm going to do Superman better than everyone else has done. Because when you take on a character like that, Christopher Nolan, we had no expectations of what it was going to be other than we knew he was a good filmmaker. And we left out of that theater seeing Batman Begins wow, this guy really just basically steamrolled everything we've seen before.
Yeah.
Superman, I don't think that's the visionary kind of James Gunn is the visionary type of person that's going to give us a completely different version of Superman that we weren't expecting.
But what I'm saying, though, is I think it was an option that he went with it. Look at the film's lineup. That should tell you that he's not going to get to Batman for some time. You've got Superman and Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, The Authority, The Brave and the Bold, and Swamp Thing, and a potential untitled Teen Titans film.
That sounds exactly like James Gunn, though.
No,
James Gunn is quirky.
Batman.
No, but what I'm saying is he doesn't get to it until the 3rd film.
But here's the point, though. This is James Gunn. He's quirky. He's starting on Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing didn't do well as a TV show.
I mean, but maybe
he's doing the Creature Commandos. He's doing all the quirky crap like he did for the thing that makes him what he is. The same thing with Suicide Squad. You had David Eckers' version, and then he comes in and he brings out the D-lister characters that he threw together. That's James Gunn.
And he's also getting called out for hiring family.
Of course, yeah. You could go across the whole fandom to see that happening. We just saw the Acolyte that had a whole bunch of family members in Jews.
I'm not saying I'm guaranteeing this is going to be great. All I'm saying is I think it's interesting that he is starting with Superman to initiate his takeover of the DCU, and it could be much different than your traditional Batman.
I feel like he got the Todd McFarlane treatment, like how they gave Todd McFarlane the Page Puncher Transformers. I feel like they gave James Gunn the.
I think James Gunn just came in and basically said, because when he started, he purposely went after like Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was signed and ready to go, and he's like, "Oh nope, that don't go with my vision." And he cut and fans were like, "What are you doing?" If anything, if he thought, his arrogance is pulled into it, because most of the time he would have been like, "You know what? Let me get Cavill. Let me rewrite or work on whatever this is gonna be, move it a little bit away from Snyder, and then run with that." No, he was like, "I'm dumping this and everything that was previously before it." And he destroyed 3 movies that still hadn't even came out, as he told fans they were irrelevant. And then he said, "This is my vision." And then he right before I think Aquaman 2 came out, he had his whole memorandum of all the things that he was going to do.
Where he was telling people, "We still want you to see the movies." Like, yeah, you do, because you spend millions of dollars on
That's pure arrogance, brother. That's pure arrogance. That's Hollywood arrogance.
It was really stupid just on a corporate level. Like, how can you be the head of the studio and not, it's like what you say is, we're going to see how these other movies do, and then we're still developing this stuff, and we're not going to release any news about who's cast or not, or who's doing what. We're going to see how these last few movies do, and then we're going to make our decision, even if it's a lie. Even you're just bullshitting. You just say that anyway so that people will go see those movies if they care about the universe.
Yep.
And
what if they done that to James Bond? Like Daniel Craig's last movie, and then right before it's like, "Yeah, this movie don't matter crap. We got the new James Bond. We're introducing him. This is what it's going to be."
Yeah.
Like, people would look at him like that's madness. Like, you just let it ride out.
Hey,
and then do it.
If his vision is dialed in and great, there won't be any discussions on it. And so I get the expectation is very, very high. Do you think on the authority, you think Hitch and Ellis will be involved in some capacity, or do you think he'll say, "I got it"? Because that could be an interesting idea. Like, hey, like, we need your creative assistance here to make this go.
Warren Ellis will be nowhere. I'll be surprised at the end if they even put his name as in the point, but they're going to distance themselves. And they've done a great job of distancing themselves from Warren Ellis. I don't think Warren Ellis, I think Hitch, it probably gets an uptick a little bit, but I don't think they're even going to mention Warren Ellis's name, man.
Yeah. Well, Superman will continue to be a cultural icon and one of the first American superheroes in comic book lore, and we'll see how all goes. But I think again, our expectations are very high in the same level, maybe not so much, but up there with Deadpool and Wolverine, and all the things are pointing towards that being incredibly successful. And we'll play it over and over again as we see more clips and teasers and things. And speaking of Deadpool and Wolverine, your quick thoughts, 35 minutes unveiled for select folks in the media industry, and all the things are pointing towards, good Lord, this was amazing.
Well, you only put out so much. You're going to put all the good stuff. So we'll see. Still got to wait till opening day before you see and find out what's happening.
But they said it was the first 35 minutes of the film, right? I think that's what it was.
Somebody loves Don't You Do It loves
right.
Mr. Brantley's shirt. Yes. No, look, you're incredibly confident as a director to give anybody 35 minutes before a film comes out, especially in the age of social media and putting things out early. So that lets me know if the studio thought that this movie wasn't probably one of the most powerful and strongest films of the year, they would have never done that. They would have limited your usage of it. They would have never done this. That's what lets me know that the confidence level in this film is so big that they were like, "We're just going to give you 35 minutes." That is rarely ever done, man. So that's where I'm kind of thinking when they say billion. And look, Disney's been on the roll. They had the Inside Out 2. That's it did real well for them, and they're like, oh, in a couple of weeks they're salivating at the mouth. They got the Hall H down at Comic-Con again. You'll probably see Wolverine and Deadpool walking down the streets of. I would be surprised if we just saw. What was that? Ryan Reynolds at a soccer match in Deadpool, or at least we think it was Ryan Reynolds.
It could have been anybody, but like Deadpool showing up to like the freaking European Championship.
I would not be surprised if Ryan Reynolds walked around Comic-Con in a Deadpool suit and walked right into Hall H. I would not be surprised.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but one year at Comic-Con, Hugh Jackman was walking around as Wolverine, and people were telling him like, "Oh, good try, but you're too small," and blah 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 blah. And then he gets up in Hall H and he's like, "I walked around and people told me I was too small to be Wolverine." And then everyone lost their shit because they realized it was actually Hugh Jackman walking around in the shirt. So I hope they do that kind of shit again.
It's been done, but like I said, Ryan Reynolds is look, he has a polarizing scenario every now and then. Some films are great, some films aren't. But this is the thing that he's piped in the most about. Look, he's not in this. Yeah, he's not in this to lose. He's in this. I'm sure he called probably, Jackman damn near all the time, and Jackman just said, "Okay, yeah, all right, I'm gonna do."
No, it was opposite actually. Really? I read that like Hugh Jackman left him like a 15-minute voicemail about this movie. Oh. Like if I recall, that was it. Like Jackman was excited about this, which is like
reinvigorated Jackman
because he remembers Wolverine Origins. The last time they were together.
Just get me in the suit, the correct suit. That's all I ask.
And let me be honest with you. Like after we saw the Wolverine, I was so pissed at that end kind of thing where he had the suit, and I was like, "Oh my God, this entire time he had an accurate version of the suit to not wear it." And then they just took that. The first images we see is the accurate suit. And you're like, oh, thank you. Because I don't know why it took you damn near 20 years to put Hugh Jackman in an accurate version
difficult
of an
is
accurate
this?
Suit.
Right?
And actually, Dr. Brantley and I will tell you, there was a Marvel Comics scenario where somebody was going to actually get a job at Marvel Comics, and the editor-in-chief at the time had made the mistake of not doing the 20th century version suits in the comic book, and he was fired subsequently, and there went the Marvel gig out of the window. So they've done some really good work, man. And I love the brashness, even from the popcorn bucket to everything they're going to do. Just like, they really need theaters, comic book shops, Marvel itself, Disney. They all need that uptick. Do everything, throw it out the window, leave everything on the table, brother. I'm glad they're doing this.
Yeah, and it's what's interesting too about it is like we just talked about like famous Cap moments last week. By the way, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, comment, go back to last week's video. We did a Captain America segment where we had this best clips and we were debating what's the best one of like Thor's hammer, where he's worthy, or Avengers Assemble when he puts on the cowl. The theater is going to explode.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying is once however that happens, he pops that cowl on, it'll be one of those magical moments in the MCU. So I'm so excited for that. And everyone's like at the edge of their seat, probably waiting. Is there a fight scene? And I think everyone wants to see Hulk and Wolverine fight. And I hope we see it.
No, this is going to be a theater experience. The last time you saw this was Endgame. And, that's going to be the closest.
Yeah, So. And in the 35 minutes, I don't want to. For those of you who don't want to spoil, they didn't really spoil anything. But like, if anybody's not interested in that, lower your volume for the next 20 seconds. But the people said that there was appeal to the diehard comic fans of Wolverine, Deadpool, and the Marvel universe. In the first 35, there were some like Easter eggs and other appearances. So I thought that would be, I don't know what that means, but again, that's tipping the hat to like the diehard fans and not the the general audience that are going to go see it anyway. So I love that approach. But speaking of Captain America, the film, we got the new trailer that hit. Brave New World. Again, we were teasing, but just extensive reshoots. I think the budget's over $300 million now, or something crazy like that. What do y'all think of the trailer?
Look good.
Let's start off with Chet.
I think I'm just burned out. On
Cap?
Yeah. I'm excited for Deadpool Wolverine. I didn't make it through the whole trailer, to be honest. I got bored. And I just didn't care. So I got
It's 2 minutes.
I got bored. I was like, I don't really give a shit about this movie. Like, I don't care.
I hope they're not listening after the another $100 million investment.
A new Captain America. Oh, wait a second.
It's $300
they literally paid. Wait, hold on. Just so you know, they literally paid Giancarlo Esposito to he wasn't even in the movie, and it was so bad screenings. They're like, we're gonna get him and insert him into the plot and add him, and you didn't even make it through the trailer. They've got a big problem on their hands if Chet couldn't get.
I don't understand what's exciting about it. It's like I don't know. I guess I could be wrong. I'll try to make it through the full 2 minutes after the show and talk about it next week. But I was just like, I'm good. I'm over it. Next movie.
Well, here's the thing. When it popped up in my feed this morning, I was like, oh, okay. I was completely changed in my mind setting. It looked like I said, wow. And you could tell, obviously, because I know that's why they brought Giancarlo in, is there was a plot mess that they had to clean up. And just see Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross, and then the explanation of the reason why he looks different, which I always love that they did that with Rhodey in the same exact way. I thought this was the first time that the Sam Wilson character looked more confident as, now holding the shield. Because when we saw him in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, he was unsure and he never really wanted the mantle. It was something that he just had to take. This one seems he's a little confident. There's even a line that I think Thunderbolt said, you're no Steve Rogers. And it's like, wow, they're really taking this to the next level. And, I just thought that was probably when, Dr. Brantley and I do know that they probably had a whole bunch of people cut through that trailer and work on this stuff and remaster it. But that trailer was enough for me to sit there and say, yeah, I can't wait till it comes out. I really do want to see it, because from what I heard, it was a mess. And I can see the seeds of it was like Kevin Feige and the higher ups, this can't be a mess. How do we fix this? And Giancarlo Esposito has been just tearing it up on everything. There's a AMC show that he was just recently on. This man's on fire. They brought a better villain in other than just having the Red Hulk. And I love the way they just say, hey, we're not even going to play games. We're going to show you what the Red Hulk looks like.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to this. I thought the trailer was very well done, but because it's only a week out from 4th of July, which seems like a Captain America trailer coming out on the 4th of July would have been kind of a slam dunk. Why didn't they do it? And so I'm thinking that this was kind of a last minute, this is not working. These trailers that we've been working on for the last 6 months suck. We need someone over the weekend to cut something special, and you throw all your big guns at this one. And because it was, I don't know, it had a unique flavor to it as a trailer, different than a lot of superhero trailers. It wasn't just like a by the numbers kind of a thing. And I thought it looked good. So I'm thinking they came out this at the last minute with everything they had to make it look as good as it does. And otherwise, I don't know why you miss the 4th of July for Captain America.
Yeah. This movie is going to struggle. And it's just not, it could be good, but it's hard to bring in big box office when the side character is the leading star. And unfortunately, if you did a Robin movie, it wouldn't do the business of a Batman. And it's not a cat movie, although it's called it. It's the sidekick that's taken over the helm. And unfortunately, people are accustomed to seeing Chris Evans, or if it was, even if you called it Captain America and it was like it's not going to do well. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't think it'll bomb, but it's not going to come close to, I think, the expectations. I did think the trailer looked halfway decent. It was cool to tease at the end with Red Hulk. I wish it well. It did feel a bit different than your traditional superhero movie, and so maybe that's the avenue they take, like a Winter Soldier. Like this is not 100 villains fighting in the space. This is like a very much centered around like a Winter Soldier type feel. And if they do that, they'll carve out its own segment. The release date's going to be important too. And February is not traditionally like the best month, and that tells you how the studio's confidence.
Are you excited that Seth Rollins is in the movie?
No. Did they even show him? I don't even think they showed him in the trailer.
I don't think
he's probably in the editing room floor, and probably they're like, no, he's not big enough. Well, we're gonna get into our next segment of Pixels, Plastic, and Ink, and spend a few minutes talking about action figures and toys with plastic. And in the spirit of plastic, popcorn buckets, it's not necessarily a toy, but it is a collectible. Everyone's
depends on how you use it.
Everybody's trying to outdo one another, and you got the Deadpool and the Wolverine thing that tried to beat the Ghostbusters, and then you got the Minions and all that, and then we have seen the teaser, not official, but a leaked of the Alien popcorn bucket. It is the face hugger wrapped around the popcorn bucket. And I got to be honest, gentlemen, if that's the case, I am definitely buying one, because that's the creepiest popcorn bucket you could ever design.
I will try to buy that one, to be honest.
It's very interesting. I'm still waiting on my Ghostbuster popcorn bucket. They said up here in October, so I didn't understand like what they're doing pre-construction.
Next October.
Maybe so. I think it's smart marketing. I think they've gotten on to a very good craze. Again, there were certain things I didn't even know that AMC or Regal were doing. I didn't know there was a Fast and Furious 10 popcorn bucket. I didn't know there was a Transformer Optimus Prime that you could actually put it in the actual trailer. They've been popcorn bucketing their butts off. Yet, though, that same thing has been driving people into the theaters. So this reminds me of like, I know you guys are not as old as Dr. Brantley and I, but I remember Jaws 3, my favorite Jaws of all, with Louis Gossett Jr. They had Jaws 3 in 3D, and I think you had to go like to 7-Eleven and get the glasses, and they had a Jaws like reflective cup and everything else like that, or like, Batman Returns, you went to McDonald's and you had, this is the kind of like marketing ploy that gets people excited to go into the theater. I think this is smart marketing. I hope they do this with more films. Look, I want to have my Captain America, Brave New World, Shield popcorn bucket. Give me everything that I can, man.
I don't think anything will ever be as good as when the movie Blow came out and you got the little mirrors.
See, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No,
yeah, we had when I used to work at one of the world's largest fruit companies, and the director's wife of that film would come in to talk to us about fruit all the time. And I remember going to the theater and went to see Blow, and they gave you this little mirror in this orange pouch as like the first 100 people. And I was like, does anyone not like just like fuck it? Now it's popcorn buckets. So
yeah, well, look,
I'm kind of surprised that Disney is undercutting themselves, because on the heels of showing the Wolverine popcorn bucket, another division, 20th Century Fox, shows the Alien popcorn bucket because that took away. I don't think anyone's talking about the Wolverine popcorn.
Oh no, I
bucket.
think that's already been sold out. You probably can't get it anymore.
Well, no, you can only get it in the theater, so you can.
But I don't think it was it wasn't official though. It was leaked. Somebody posted this like 2-second like. I don't think it was an official thing from Disney.
Oh, no, I think it was a tease of the bucket. It was an official tease. They wouldn't do that.
I don't think that's cutting it off. I think it's a smart, like, look, man, it's kind of like, the same aspect where, Marvel Legends with Hasbro and, with Star Wars and everything. They just dumping stuff. Look, sometimes the people that are going to watch Wolverine, Deadpool, they might not be the exact same amount of audience that's going to see Alien Romulus. So you're appealing to still like a horror franchise kind of sci-fi. And yet you've got, because that Deadpool Wolverine bucket, I can guarantee you and everything, we're going to probably see some like metal claws ripping someone in the theater, to try to get that one. And I do think that the collector's item is the Alien bucket, because I do think that that's gonna drive more people, probably just not even going to go see the movie just to buy the bucket. So I think it's smart business planning. And again, there's probably a Beetlejuice bucket for all we know. It's like, I'm sure there's plenty of stuff, but it's smart. Get as many people talking about it. Do like they used to do in the 80s when every film was like an absolute event. We had gotten away with that. We haven't really had a lot of events. People just kind of like, yeah, it's a movie. But Ghostbusters was really the first Frozen Empire really ignited that, because like everybody was like trying to kill themselves for the ghost trap buckets, and they had competing movie theaters with different buckets. So I think it's smart. They need to really respect the theater, and if they keep doing this, fine. We're getting more collectibles and strange things coming out of it. Like, hey, I'll take it, man. I'm just, again, I'm wondering what's next. Are they going to do? Because something's going to be crazy that we'll all sit back and be like, "That's the wildest thing I've ever."
They just announced it. It's the Craven, to support the Craven movie, but it's a to-go bucket, because they don't think you'll last the whole film. So like halfway, you could pack your shit up, your popcorn, your Coke.
What?
So it's kind of like an In-N-Out tray that says Craven. Sorry to see you go.
I've heard there's a $20 bill at the bottom of it too, though. So like you can just take your 20 out of it, because it's like, we're sorry we made this movie. We're sorry we made this movie.
Sorry about that. Yeah. In the world of collectibles, also big news. If you haven't already checked out the Toybox Chronicles on the Shadow Nose Network, 7 p.m. Pacific time every Wednesday, the Hasbro G.I. Joe official poster announcement, the reveal on the 25th of this month. And so that is incredibly excited. Plus a lot of stuff around Hasbro, the fan stream, announcements galore. Also Walmart Collectors Con, 5 days away from their tease. And I think they revealed a Venom figure that will sell out in a few seconds. There might be a new Xavier figure as well. People are pointing towards, will this be something X-Men 97? Although we've been told that'll be next year, but you never know. So lots of buzz on the Hasbro stuff. What are your thoughts?
Well, one, I gave them credit because this, I'm always on the pulse of Hasbro Pulse. And it was a surprise. This fan stream came out of nowhere, and it's in the AM. And they stated on Hasbro Pulse Instagram point that they're going to be pre-orders up for order. They're going to be doing some reveals, some digital renders. So like in the AM, we thought we were getting it at 5 p.m. So I don't know. I think maybe they heard a little bit because the portal thing had been kicking back and forth. Maybe they decided to like do this reveal, because how many people would have known what that actual HasLab for G.I. Joe would be if you weren't at San Diego? You probably learned about it an hour later when the news started hitting. So I think the fan stream is basically to drum up for the people that are not there, to not make it seem so exclusive. But hey, the more stuff we get, the better it is. I think that Hasbro's been doing a great job this year of releasing everything. That Venom is already sold out. Don't you worry about it. It's already probably sold out. The minute you go to click that button on that morning, it won't work. And the Collector's Con they teased a couple of things too. They also did I guess we're getting a new Night Force version of Falcon from a G.I. Joe Classified. So, like they're really kicking out all the stuff for the San Diego Comic-Con this year. And it seems a little bit more important than it had in the last couple of years. So, I think it's all good things, but I'm looking forward to that fan stream first thing that morning, brother.
Chet?
I didn't catch what the Venom is.
Yeah, so there's been a I could probably get it. So let me just real quick. So there has been this exclusive Venom that comes in this box was where you got the retro card Venom, like the retro cards of Spider. It was the only retro card that you could get, and this is fetching like $150 now.
I thought that was a Venom Punisher box.
No, this is like the Venom Punisher box looks like this, but that was for the comic book, the Marvel, So everyone's trying to get this, but $150 is a lot of money to spend on that thing.
Yeah.
So, and it's cell shaded like the comic books, and now they're releasing a very similar figure that everyone is like gonna want to get their hands on because the only Venom figure on a retro card is $150. Who's spending that money? So that's why all the resellers, all the collectors, all the fans, that thing is just going to sell out like crazy because of how limited and plus the popularity of Venom. So, and it's a Walmart exclusive, which it's hit or miss, man. It's hit or miss with their pre-ordering and their shipping. But that's why everyone believes this is going to be one of the hottest figures of the summer because of how limited it is. So that's the story there. I hope to get one, but it's going to be a bit of a shit show. As Mr. Storm says, it's probably already sold out. Like it's already.
Is it the one that has like red accents on it?
I mean, you could Google search it. I forget what it looks like, but it's on the retro Spider-Man card.
Yeah, I don't like the way they do all these things. I really think that if you're going to do an exclusive figure for a small amount of people, it should be like a tiny, small character and make it, an obscure thing. Don't do a huge character that everybody wants, and you're only going to make, a couple hundred or something. And then, in the resale market, it's going to go crazy. And someone that actually wants this is not going to be able to get it.
Well, see, now we know that Dr. Brantley flunked economics in high school because of capitalism. Because we're going to give everybody what we want. No, they're going to take the biggest character and they're going to limit its supply and demand. And they want to raise it up, man.
But Hasbro is not making the money off of that. It is just the unscrupulous resellers that are making
Hasbro's
the big
money.
Hasbro's making their base amount of money. If they released it to a bigger amount of people, they would make more money.
Ask your one thing. It's like X-Men #1. Damn straight, everybody here and probably about a half of people around the world and some people in Ethiopia probably has X-Men #1. It's worth nothing, but a limited run of that would have made that a little bit better. And the problem of it is that, look, it's like, they are giving into the flipping people or the people that's going to be raising up those rates. But the smart thing of this is that people will still be talking about Hasbro. See, they keep themselves on the post. They do this because everyone's like, man, that's the figure of the year. Well, how do you know it's the figure? You haven't even seen it. That's why it's the figure of the year. It's like they're constantly doing this all the time. There's a low amount given out. And then later down the road, they kick it down. And all of a sudden, we've got this. It's coming out here and it's redesigned. And then that sells out. Hasbro's making billions of dollars, brother. There's nowhere around there that
they would make more. See, that's the thing. If it's a
I don't
character
think so.
that's popular and you opened it up to, you know, all the Walmarts are, you know, not just this is a San Diego exclusive. Now that's why if
Well,
it's a
it's on.
San
It's
Diego
on.
exclusive, it's only going to be a small amount. So
It's
it should
not.
be a
It's
character
not
that's
just a San Diego
smaller.
exclusive. It's the collector's con for Walmart. But the thing of it is that
But
if
still, no one's going to be
everyone,
able to get it.
if well, no, there's gonna be people that will have it. It's just that damn straight won't be the people that a lot of people that won't get it. You know, but there's gonna be people that have it. I guarantee you'll turn on eBay that next like 20 minutes after that, and you'll see it go fetch it for $250 somewhere. And you'll find it. You know,
it's better as Dr. Brantley could relate people running into the stores and fighting for a figure like you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad. So at least it could be more gentleman efforts on the online community, although bots typically take over that world.
Look, my group is Indiana Jones merchandise, and people are not running over themselves to you know, take it from each other. It's like, oh wait, how much is that discounted? That's the only thing people are fighting over.
Whole Temple of Doom is popping up at Aldi's. I've been watching the entire week. People going into Ollie's and actually looking and finding Indiana Jones. They were like, wow, it's right here. And the whole wave is there too, man. In fact, Chet's going to Ollie's to look for the my suspension bridge kind of project of a couple of characters because I saw it at Ollie's. So no, there's fighting because people are now running to the store to purchase those.
Well, gentlemen, you know, we talked about Superman as such an important character, but that's not all of why this show is important on this Friday night, because it is a special anniversary. And I think we should roll the footage.
Surprise! Happy birthday to you.
Ross is where you can get the stuff. Cheap. Low price.
It is your birthday period.
Statement of fact.
Not even an exclamation point?
This is more professional.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's definitely been a ride. It takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get to where we're at. And look, for those
Mostly
of you
tears.
mostly tears, that's right. Look, for those of you who have been there since day one, or those who just recently discovered our channel, we appreciate you all as building this community. And it's just, you know, it's a milestone, but this will continue to grow. And I think, you know, we appreciate your support, tuning in, however you do. And just spread the word, man. We're just a bunch of guys that like to talk about all things pop culture. And we, you know, this is a hobby, but also it's a lot of work to be putting into a hobby like this. So we definitely have fun to produce the content for all of you. And what a historic milestone, because I don't think any of us, when we started this, thought we'd be here a year later talking about, you know, 1,000 subscribers and 1 million plus views and all the content, man. So it's been an awesome ride thus far. Gentlemen, you're in retrospect, how you feeling about our 1 year?
I will I know you know, we started off extremely I think ignorant to what YouTube really was, and we were just putting up stuff and doing it. And again, I have to thank Shadow for because we basically just said, hey man, do some toy hunt videos and let's do this. and he's been out there trooping. The Tech Master, just came in and started doing his own thing. One unsung hero that I'll give to is that Dr. Brantley does a lot of the editing, and a lot of people don't know that. He really gives a production value to you. But also Chet Maddox, I will say that this was one of those things where if there's ever been, like, Dr. Brantley has always been my co-partner, and I've just been blessed to have another guy that you can ride through the fire with. But also he was doing his own thing, and he saw the vision and was like, you know what, I'm gonna put the time and effort and come over here. And that to me really validated what we were doing, because hey, he's a personality on its own. And when you see the production value unbox that he does, absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed every damn minute. We talked, I think, about Toybox Chronicles, and it was like a couple of days and we were like, let's just do it. And so we went in and just had absolutely zero clue of how to do it. So these are the things that really kind of like, when people say like, how much time you're putting into it, it's a part-time job. We don't treat it in a way and disrespect it, but if we don't have those pillars, like I said, if we don't have the Shadow, the Tech Master, if we don't have all the thumbs are done by Rad, Dr. Brantley's editing, just the infectiousness of Chet Maddox, then this doesn't get done, man. It just doesn't get done. So I felt like it's an honor and pleasure to work with like such a fine group. And I know that this is just a milestone and there's more to continue. But like, thank you to everyone, the guys in the comments. And whenever you see them on there, they're going into toy photography and everything. They just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. It's just amazing to see, man.
Yeah, I got to thank everybody that's involved with this. We had no plan when we started. It was just like, hey, let's do this. And it was like, oh, well, let's put something else up this week. Well, let's put something else up. And, if anyone out there is interested and, thinking about doing this, I suggest just go ahead and do it. You don't have to know what you're doing at first. Just do it. And you'll figure it out along the way, what you like, what you don't like, what works best for you. And, we're well into that here with all these guys. I don't know. It's been great and a lot of fun.
And we still don't know what the hell we're doing.
So absolutely no idea.
No clue. We're still here until YouTube decides we're not here anymore.
Exactly.
YouTube is like, knock it off.
Mr. Maddox.
Yeah, I mean it's been great. I think we found our spot. We have a constant battle. For those of you that know what happens, we're battling. But what's great is that imitation is the best form of flattery, and I enjoy it every time it happens because then we do it better. Hey, look, we've come a long way. I was happy to kind of just sunset. I haven't really sunset the Chet Maddox channel, but I'm happy to be putting all my effort over here. It's the group is fantastic. Everybody involved. It's becoming more and more of a passion project, and you can feel the passion. There's an audience out there that misses G4 TV, and so we'll bring it back for you guys in our form, but we'll do it better. And I'm excited where it goes. I know Rad's taking some epic pictures of the toys he got. I'm jumping into that. Everyone's kind of like trying to figure out where we're going on that. You can find all of our stuff on Whatnot. Yeah, man, it's been fantastic. I love it. I got to come back down. I've known Chris longer than everybody else, or Rad, as you guys know him. And then I got to come down and actually meet everyone in person in California recently. So that was cool. It's cool to be there. I'm excited for it, and this is just the start of the next big thing. So we'll see where it goes. And if everyone wants to hate on us, they can.
Well, As always, we appreciate you all and your support. Just quickly, as you know, in this 1 year, we've acquired a couple of affiliates and sponsors, and our affiliate, if you're looking for all things toys, is Entertainment Earth.
I don't know if they've just forgotten or what, but this code still works. It's the best one I've seen on the internet. If you are going to buy from Entertainment Earth, use this code. You'll get the best discount out there.
100%.
Don't you know?
And we appreciate it. Don't you do it? Well, in this case, please do it and click and order. Helps the show, but appreciate your support jumping in the chat. We see you weekly, so thanks all. And then, of course, as always, the mom and pops of the world, and one that has been with us from day one, and that is Toys versus Games, Mr. Storm.
Yeah, this is always my favorite part of the show, because when we say day one, Toys versus Games was day one. We literally started the podcast, and Shadow was in there. He was talking to Tony. Tony was like, "Well, yeah, you know what? I like to do something like that." And we were like, oh, "Okay." And it, it's helped with all the other affiliates. And they're a mom and pop store. When you go into Toys versus Games in Wilmington, California, you can guarantee you one thing: you're going to walk out of there happier than when you walked in, because Tony and his wife do a great job, not just at their toy store, but around the community. They're always doing community events, charity events. They really put a lot of time and energy in there. And that's something that, the Walmarts and the Targets say they do that, but they're corporate. We don't really see the people behind it. But when you go to Toys versus Games, when you walk to the counter, Tony's behind that counter. When you look at their social media, his wife is actually doing that stuff. So Toys versus Game, every dollar matters when you go in there. Tell them that the Pixel Plastic and Ink crew sent you, and Tony will probably have a smile on his face.
Awesome. And as always, please check all the exclusive content available here on the Shadow Nose Network, from Toybox Chronicles, as we mentioned, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Also, a variety of other content, including pro wrestling content from the Shadow himself, new videos that have posted talking about the new generation of wrestling, and the Tech Master with his rants, predominantly focused on AEW. So if you're into wrestling, tune in. And then periodically a bunch of other things, shorts from Chet Maddox himself, some cool unboxing, rating some of the figures. We got retrospect. So look deep into our catalog. We have a year of content, and it will continue to grow with some new things, some new thoughts. We've got, if you're into video games, Chet and Meeks do something really cool as well, where they talked recently about the new Nintendo Direct. And I mean, we're involved in everything. So drop a comment if you want to see or hear us talk about anything else that isn't, I guess, everything pop culture. We'd love to hear from you. And last but not least, we got to thank our partners. We just did a partner podcast on the Toybox Chronicles, Mr. Storm. If we just want to wrap things up with sharing with the audience our partner network.
Absolutely. A couple of key things. One is there's a lot of great guys over there. Scott Solo, there's Darth Moocher, there's Grand Admiral Fretz, there's the Fallen Fat. There's so many great guys over at the Sorlac Digest podcast YouTube channel, and we've just been doing a great partnership. To make note, we're going to announce this for the first time Friday, July 26th. Comic-Con starts on July 25th, but the Friday night, July 26th, we will be doing a double stream. So it'll be the first time we will be on at 6 p.m. on the Sarlacc Digest podcast. It'll be those guys over there. There'll be Pixel Plastic and Ink over there. And then at 7 o'clock, they're going to pop on. So we're doing 2 whole hours, and we're going to talk about everything San Diego Comic-Con. It's going to be from toys to exclusives to, you know, panels to everything that you think about. If there's anything that pops up that's in the middle of, you know, any kind of exclusive announcement, something, we'll be making that. So that Friday night, the 26th, you want to pop in at 6 p.m. on the Sorlac Digest Podcast Network. You will see our faces there. And then at 7, where everybody flips over, you'll be on the Shadow Nose Network, Pixel Plastic and Ink at 7 p.m. And, you know, hey, we might go past the hour time. We probably might go a little late. So you might get more than 2 hours. You never know. But when we all get together, it's a great time. Second thing is on Wednesday nights. We're making that Wednesday live stream nights, and that's between us and Fallen Fets at 6 p.m. You can find them Fallen Fet Chronicles YouTube channel at 6 p.m. Toybox Chronicles, myself and the absolutely awesome Mr. Chet Maddox. That's at 7 p.m. on the Shadow Nose Network. And then at 8 p.m., one of the most knowledgeable Star Wars shows out there that you're going to find on YouTube, the Starlight Digest Podcast. All the guys over there, believe me, you don't know Star Wars, don't worry about it. You'll know it by the end, by the time you finish that. And then on Friday nights, obviously, it is Pixel, Plastic, and Ink at 7 p.m. And we're just crushing it, man.
Awesome. Very cool. I love the partnerships. A lot of all the things going on. Some new stuff that's on the horizon. And I will just tease. We got some other big things on the roadmap. Talk about Star Wars. We got some things on the horizon. Some special stuff happening. And then some special toy unboxing exclusive with some of our affiliates. So more to come. Thanks as always for tuning in on this Friday evening. We will see you next week.
Toodles.